Hi, Rodney. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I want to go over what we discussed a little bit earlier. I think for both of us, I think the two most important things to know about poetry and journaling is that it's a form of self-expression. And I know that for many people, writing becomes a safe space, as I shared with you earlier, and a way to release emotions and to tell our stories. And I think it makes sense, to me, but I want to hear from you about your inspiration about poetry and journaling, but I want to hear how you got that creative passion. I know you said, and I hope it's okay to say, that you started in ninth grade, but I want you to highlight it. I want our listeners to hear it in your own words.
I think I was first inspired to start writing, any kind of writing, when I was, like you said, when I was in the ninth grade, and there was this girl that I admired a lot. I used to stare at her in class, all the stuff we do in middle school. We used to get to talk to a girl.
Yeah.
So, I used to watch her a lot, and she used to always carry her around this notebook. And I used to always wonder what was in the notebook until one day she caught me staring at her, and I had to say something. I had to start a conversation. So I asked her what was in the notebook, and she was shy about it, but she showed it to me, and it was just the notebook was full of poetry. So when I read it, it just kind of opened my eyes, and I feel like it just awakened something inside of me that I didn't know was there. So it kind of bred this love for poetry, and even to this day, man, I couldn't even tell you what the name of the poem was, what the subject of anything was that I read in it. But I just remember that it was so inspiring to me that I just decided, I want to do this. This is cool. I really want to be a person that can do this. So from that point on, I just started writing poetry, man. And like you said, it just became a form of self-expression. It became a form of creativity. It became a catharsis. It became a way for me to release my stress. It became so much to me. And over time, it just became a passion. So now, I don't know, man, the poetry just evolved into storytelling. And I think my love for storytelling began way before that. Because I used to read for Leah when I was in the third grade.
Okay.
All the way up. Yeah, they had this program called Accelerated Reader, and it was really like a contest for the kids, and it just fostered a love for reading and storytelling, and that was just added on to by the poetry. So as I got older,
okay,
and that just kind of evolved into the books and the things that I'm into now. So I just kind of feel like it went from the love of reading and stories being told to me getting involved with the writing, with the poetry, and then the evolution continued with me writing the stories and me telling the stories.
Okay. Now, I think you and I both can agree on this, that when we think about journaling, from our perspective and from other people's perspective, I think journaling is more like a personal therapy session. When we put those thoughts down and our feelings, I think it's a way that we can track our growth, like where we were yesterday and where we are becoming today and where we're going to go in the future. And I think it holds hope for us when we're feeling scared. And the beauty of journaling is, we don't need an audience for our words. I think we were talking about that earlier, about when I used to use sketch paper because I didn't like the ink to bleed through the paper. But that was just for me because I wanted to go back and reflect on those words that I had put down on that paper. And I think writing itself is a liberating feeling that, you started out young, although you started with the reading and the poetry, but when you start journaling, can you take me back to how you felt?
I felt so imprisoned by my own thoughts.
Okay.
And I say that because I felt trapped inside of my own thoughts because the thoughts didn't have anywhere to go. I couldn't share them with people feel like I connected with the people in a way where I can share those thoughts and not be looked at a certain way, or not thought about a certain way or spoken about a certain way. So journaling became a release for me just simply because I was like, man, I got to get these things out of my head because it feels so crowded, and sometimes it feels like your thoughts are screaming at you and there's nothing else that you can hear. So I get them out as a personal form of expression, but like you said, no, this kind of expression doesn't need an audience.
No.
I am my own audience.
That's right.
It's just like, and it's like you said, man, after you do it for so long and then you look back at it, you can see your progression, you can see your growth, and that does give you hope because it lets you know that, okay, look, I'm maturing, I'm changing, I'm growing. So all of the things that I may fear about myself, like the things that I'm insecure about, I can see that those things, I'm capable of changing these things.
Right.
This journal is proof that over time that I've been changing. So, that journal means a lot in so many different ways. And it'll be a chronicle for, when you pass, for that happen for your kids to see, for your kids to see your growth, for your kids to know your struggle, because a lot of times your kids only know you as the parent. They only know you as mom. I don't have any children yet, but when I do, they'll only know me as dad. They won't know me as Rodney. They won't know the things that Rodney went through before he was dad. So it'll be a way for your kids to get to know you as a person versus them only knowing you as like a parent.
Right.
So, that journal is just, it'll be so valuable in so many different ways that I've gotten to the point now where I can't stop doing it. It's just a habit. It's just a part of who I am.
That is actually wonderful to hear because you haven't put it down. Now, Rodney, I don't want you to get upset with me, but I'm going to shift gears a little bit.
That's fine. Come on.
So, tell me what happened that kind of like put a twist on your life, and now you are dealing with something else. And then we're going to come back to the journal and how that is playing a part into your success stories.
Oh man, there was so many different things. Are you specifically referring to why I'm here?
Yes. Yeah, you don't have to go into specifics, but I want our audience to know that we start off positive. We start off doing something that's passionate, but then we may have a downfall in our life. And I want our listeners to know that just because there's a downfall that you're impacted by, that doesn't determine your outlook in life. Because if you have that drive, you need to continue it, and you need to have that support system to be able to continue it. So I want you to share a little bit on that.
Okay, let's start at the beginning.
And just so our listeners know, this is a young man that, because he said he doesn't have children yet, so this is a young man, and I'm not going to disclose his age unless he wants to disclose his age.
It's fine. No, I'm going to give him everything.
Okay.
Okay, so my name is Rodney. I'm 37. I don't have any kids. I was born and raised in Virginia, in the Tidewater area. And I say the Tidewater area because I've lived in almost every city in that area. And, I was brought up primarily by women. I was raised by my great aunts, my cousin, my mom, some of my mom's sisters, my other aunts. And, so I had a different perspective on life because, my perspective came from all women.
Mm-hmm.
So now, as a child, streets, I was surrounded by men. So I got my idea of what it was to be a man from the people who I was surrounded by in the streets, which was wrong. Their idea was fantasy, of course. But ultimately, I don't blame anybody. I'm not going to say I'm a product of my environment because I made my own choices. And ultimately, I made the bad choices that led me here. And I've been incarcerated for 14 and a half years. I have 14 months left. I go home in June of next year.
Amen.
And it just, yes, man, it's been a long journey. But I'm not grateful for being in prison, and I don't want this next statement to come across like that.
No.
And I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to really take a good hard look at myself and reflect on my strengths and my weaknesses, and to actively and intentionally correct them. To actively and intentionally mature myself in the most natural way possible, even though I'm in an unnatural environment. So this whole journey for me has just been super crazy in so many different ways, because navigating this environment with so much negativity around you, with so many things that's pitted against you, it's difficult to still maintain your sanity. It's difficult to still maintain everything that you are as a person, and not lose yourself in this place and become what most people call institutionalized. Mm-hmm. So for me, I'm grateful for the time to be able to have transformed myself into what I am now. But I do wish that it didn't have to be in this place, under these circumstances. It just was wrong the way that it had to happen. And I take responsibility, because, like I said, it was all my choices.
But Rodney, the most powerful thing that I can see that you continue to do is you wrote 2 books. You're working on other come on, share. Come on. This is what.
Okay, you know what? We're gonna go ahead and get to that.
Yeah.
When I was first incarcerated, I got locked up in 2010, and I read a book. A guy gave me a book by a friend of his, and it was an urban novel. I read it, I didn't like it, and I'm not one to miss words, so I told him that I didn't like it.
Okay.
So he was upset, and he basically challenged me. So what eventually ended up happening is I wrote the prologue to what became my first book.
Yes. And what's the name of it, if you don't mind me asking?
The funny thing is that the first book that I wrote was not the first book that I published.
Oh, okay.
So I wrote 2 books. One was called Vengeance and Vengeance 2. And they were urban novels, because that's what my mind was. But I broke away from that because I didn't want to be known as an urban author. Like, I feel I'm so versatile that I can write in any genre. So after that, I started on the book that became the first book that I published, which is called Valley of the Shadow. That's a psychological thriller.
Okay.
So I have Valley of the Shadow that's published, and I have another book that's published called Connections and Entanglements. That is an adult book. So those 2 are published, but I have 2 more that are completed. I have 1 more that I'm working on. I've also written 2 screenplays. I've written a comic book, and I'm about to learn how to write stage plays as well. So I spent my time really nurturing my talent, because, like I said, I had fallen in love with storytelling so long ago, and the guy challenging me just really lit a fire to me that just never went out. So I love writing. I love the whole process of creation. I love seeing it as a sense of accomplishment. I love seeing it come alive when I'm done with it, and just stand back and look at it take a life of its own. When other people read it, they get and you get that appreciation for your craft. Like, I really have a real love for writing.
Okay.
So that's what I spend my time doing. Pulling my resources. As far as my support, man, I have a great support system. I gotta say thank you to my cousin Penny, my sister Lashanta.
That's right. Give them a shout out. Give that glory.
Yeah, my best friend, my A1 Kale. I gotta give them their roses. I gotta give them their flowers, because without them, none of the stuff that I'm doing, people would even know about. I would still have done them, but I wouldn't have had a way to gain that exposure to the world. Let me do a shameless plug, man. My books are available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Lulu, Good.
Okay. So we got the books that you have out and where to purchase them. But can you just go over that one more time, where they can purchase your book?
The 2 books that I have published are called Valley of the Shadow, and the other one is called Connections and Entanglements. And both books are available on Amazon, Lulu, Goodreads, Barnes & Noble, and most platforms that you publish your books from. But also, I have a website that you can go to. The website is called writeforyourlife.com, and it's writeforyourlife.com. And there, you can get get a full understanding of me as an author, what my books are, and there's links to my social media page at the bottom. There's also a way for you to contact me through email.
Okay.
So, you can go to all of those sites, and it'll tell you everything you need to know.
Okay, and we'll also have a link on our website, Haz'el Inspirations, to ensure that our listeners will be able to connect with you. Now, I'm going to ask you some hard questions. I'm going to bring that shyness out of you. Okay, so I know that you have gone through a stumbling block in your life. Okay, we all do. And that does not stop you. But you did not mention, you mentioned about the books, but I want to know where you're going in the future. So tell me about the screenplays.
I am so blessed in that area because I have a family member that works in film.
Okay.
So he's actually the person that got me into the screenwriting because I sent him a prologue to one of the books that I was writing. And he read it and he was like, man, you should start learning how to write screenplays because, this is my area. So if you write screenplays, I can help you to do these things with screenplays. So I learned how to write the screenplays. And that's going to be something that I'm interested in when I go home. But, I have a bunch of different avenues that I want to pursue. Because I want to do screenplays. I want to continue to write the books also. I want to open a nonprofit, man. There's something that's near and dear to my heart about helping disadvantaged youth.
Yes.
And eventually, I'm not getting that situated and lay the foundation. I want to also try to help homeless people as well. So I'm going to use, once I get my foundation set, like I said, I want to start using some of the proceeds from my books to put away to help start the nonprofit. That's something that's...
and I think that is a wonderful, wonderful creative vision to have for our youth. And I can't wait to see this this blossom and this building, this foundation go up, and the future generation will have a place to come to that they can discover, and express, instead of, because the way that they're expressing anger and frustration now is not the norm that they should be having. And I think that if they can express themselves through art, through poetry, through dancing, through journaling, and whatever language that they embrace and they want to express, I think that we should give that to them. Don't deny them that opportunity. I was reading something by Maya Angelou, and this is so surprising that, she was, Maya Angelou started writing when she was began in prison. I don't know if you know that. She had, with poetry. And she stated that the simple act of writing, telling her story, was a form of resistance against the forces trying to silence her. In the same way, young people who find themselves in systems of incarceration can reclaim their power through their voices. And I think that was very powerful through Maya Angelou. And the message that I think that you and I both want to convey today is that the youth, anyone, whether they're 5 years old, 10 years old, teenager, or a young adult, you have a voice. And by you opening this nonprofit organization, you're giving them an opportunity to strengthen that voice and to also give back in a different capacity. They always say that teachers are never looked upon as being the source of healing and educating, but I think that they should, because they're an investment into our youth. And if we don't grasp it when we are young, it's harder to grasp when you get older. So that's what I want to talk about. I want to know the generation that we have, that we're facing today, is not the generation, well, it's not the same values as when I was growing up. This is, I don't know why our young children are, filled with so much dislike and, violence. But I want to talk about that, and I want you to elaborate on, we talked about, where we want to go in the future. We talked about where you started at and what inspired you. But now, what message would you be telling the youth once this building is up and running? What is a message you would be holding in that class to inspire them, to want them to come back the next day?
Oh man, if I was to kind of put it into a nutshell,
yes,
I would basically just be, my message to them would just be, man, focus on yourself, focus on finding yourself, and then focus on building yourself. I think I found myself when I found out what my talent was, and I think that if I had found my talent a little earlier in life, it would have fit that passion in me to a degree where I'm not going to say that I wouldn't have ended up here because nobody knows what has happened. But at the same time, I would like to think that I would have been, so entrenched in my love for my writing and my storytelling that, these other things wouldn't have come about. So when you were speaking it, you was basically talking about the kids finding themselves. I think that is an element of that. Because we all put here for a purpose. Everybody has a purpose. We are all, and I don't want this to come across wrong, but we are all put here to be used. Whatever your purpose is, you are used for that purpose. Now the problem comes when people try to misuse you. That's a whole other conversation. But everybody has a purpose, and the world is going to use you for your purpose. Like me, I love to write, and I write these stories. The world is going to use me for my purpose. They're going to use me as entertainment. They're going to use me as an escape from life. They're going to use me to enliven their own imaginations and spark their own inspirations, because this is what my talent is. This is what I'm putting here for.
Right.
So the moment that we inspire you to figure out who they are, figure out what your talent is, figure out what you like and what you don't like, that's the moment that they really begin to discover themselves. But they don't really have the time to discover themselves because they're so caught up in the trend. They're so caught up in trying to be perfect on social media. They're so caught up in what everybody else thinks of them that they don't even have the time to form their own opinion of themselves. So,
right.
They're really just going off of what everybody thinks and what they think is cool. So they really just kind of mimic what's going on social media. Even though everybody on social media is mimicking each other.
Yes.
There's really there's nothing genuine there. There's nothing genuine there because everybody is trying to be like everybody else instead of just being themselves. Even some of the people who are different are striving to be different. Instead of just being themselves and naturally being different because they're being themselves. Like they're doing things to separate themselves from each other, separate themselves from the crowd, even though some of those things aren't really who they are. So in essence, you're still doing the same thing everybody else is doing, even by you trying to be different. So I think that if we created a space for child to be themselves, to be comfortable with being themselves, to not be judged by others when they are being themselves, so that they start to grow and feel better about being themselves, and they can be fearless about being themselves out in the world.
Yes.
And anything, then they'll get to the point where anything anybody says or anything anybody thinks or does that's like malicious towards who they are, it wouldn't matter to them because they'll be so secure in who they are, and they'll know and be firm in who they are, and it wouldn't matter. So then they could express, they could allow the world to use them for their talent. They could bring joy and happiness and inspiration, and they could do all of these things just by being themselves. And that's really what matters, man. We just have to allow these kids the time and the space to discover themselves. And once they discover themselves, we have to encourage them to continue to be themselves. And once we do that, man, it's going to change it's going to change their whole perspective on life, and everybody that's around them, they'll be changed too, because you gives other people the courage to be themselves as well.
Yes.
Like, man, he's doing this, and he doesn't care about what people think, and maybe I can do that. Maybe I'm right to be able to do that. As a matter of fact, there's a quote by this lady named Marianne Williamson. She wrote a book called A Return to Love. I want to give you this quote. It says, "Our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightening about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others." And when I ran into that quote, I was like, man, that's crazy. Like,
wow.
Exactly. Just being yourself, the power of you being yourself frees other people. Because now they don't feel judged because you're being original. They don't feel looked at a certain way, and it frees them to be able to be like, man, I can do it. Just like they say on TV with like representation, like first time having a black man in presidential office. So now other black kids be like, yo, I can do that because it's already been done.
Yes, it's already, yes.
It's the same model. We just got to be ourselves and show our kids that this is okay.
Yes.
No matter what you decide that you are.
Yes. And Rodney, the way that I look at what you're doing and what you're inspiring others, especially our youth, is that poetry, journaling, or whatever form of creativity that we try to instill in our youth, these are tools that we are giving them. And to be honest with you, they don't require permission. They don't require validation from anyone except from them.
Exactly.
And in this world, you might feel that you're unseen, but your creativity is a beacon that can guide them through the dark. And that's how I look at my journaling, because it has brought me out a lot of dark places. And I think I told you I started journaling when I was 5 years old.
Right.
So the stories that we write, the poems that we create, that you created, that I haven't written poetry, but through my journaling, these are more than just our words that we put on paper. They are a reflection of who we are and who we are becoming. And I believe that each line, each verse is a small act of rebellion against negativity, against violence, and against any cycle of whether it's incarceration, whether it's homelessness, whether it's being in a foster home or any type of environment that we think that we are lost in, we're stuck in, because you're not. There is an outlet. And what you're doing is you're giving youth, not only youth, because I'm hoping that you'll open it up to all individuals that want to be able to do this and change their mindset and say, you know what, I never thought that journaling would help me in a healing process. I never thought that, that my words matter, but they do. You may not be a multi-millionaire by writing something down on paper, but you never know until you take that challenge. Like you said, somebody dared you. So when people dare you, that gets me, pumped up. I'm like, okay, you want to dare me? Watch me work my magic. So, and I really, I know that Lamont and I will support you in the future and whatever we can do to help. But I want to ask you a question. How do you think that we're going to inspire and break the cycle for our youth? Because we can't do it just in Virginia. We have to do this across the board. We have to do this across the nations.
We have to use our own lives as examples, especially somebody like me, especially somebody who has fallen as hard as I have and has gotten back up the way that I'm about to, or the way that I'm in the process of doing, because about to means that I haven't done it yet, but I'm in the process of doing it, so I can't say about to. But I just want to highlight too, I like what you said when you said that our journals and our worries are a reflection of who we are and who we're going into.
Yes.
So I really like the way you said it. That was perfect. But I think that using our lives as an example is perfect because it shows that, okay, I have the experience to show you what this looks like. You know, a lot of times in the areas that everybody call the hood that we grew up in, prison is like some kind of badge of honor. Like, you know, some guys come from prison and it's a point of bragging, you know, it's a point of emphasis to them to show other people that I've been through the jungle, you know, and I came out, and, you know, and it's a thing that other people look up to them for, you know, and that's just a warped perspective that nobody should have, especially if you've been to prison before. And, you know, a lot of these guys, I'm at a level 1 right now, and I had to work my way down from 3-4 years. So it's like coming from the highest levels where things aren't as good, and then coming to this place versus a person who's just coming straight to this place and think that this is what prison is. So they come in here, and it's basically like a summer camp almost. And then you go home, and now you feel like you got a badge of honor, and you got stripes on your arm because you've been in prison, and you promote that. You know, but that's so backwards. You know, because this is taking time out of your life. It's taking the time out away from your family, your kids.
Yes.
It's taking time away from everything. Everything could be that you could be setting an example for your kids, your nephews, you know, anybody. So for me, being in prison, oh man, I can't even properly describe it because I loathe it so much that it's just like I don't understand how people come back. But my life, I'm definitely going to use my life as an example. I'm definitely going to be a testimony to anybody and everybody who wants to listen. I'm never going to pull my hand away from somebody that's reaching for help, regardless if you're a child.
Thank you. That means a lot. Not to cut you off, but that really means a lot. Because do you know how many people fray away from, you know, their, and you touched on this, because either they don't want to take on the responsibility of somebody else because they, excuse the expression, they ain't got their own selves together, or they just want to turn a deaf ear or a blind eye and not realize that this person is reaching out for help.
Right. You can't help a person that doesn't want it. You know what I'm saying? But you can definitely uplift somebody that's seeing it. You know, and that's the difference. I can, even the person that doesn't want it, I can make myself available and tell them, like, yo, I'm here when you decide to do this. You know, and show them that their lifestyle is destructive, but also show them that, look, I got a better way for you. So when you're ready, you can come to me and I'm going to help you.
Creativity in all spaces, in schools and communities, and yes, even in the prison system. And I think that we need to provide opportunities for all youth to express themselves, whether it's through the poetry, whether it's through the music, whether it's through the art, you know, or even digital storytelling. That's something I would like to know how to do. The goal is to help them discover their unique voice. And you are doing that. You have done it. And you're continuing to do that. And I just want, you know, everyone to know that it doesn't stop there. You know, we need mentors, we need guides, we need people who will stand by the youth and remind them that their creativity is valuable. We need to invest in programs that provides outlets for our young minds. We need to have programs that give them the tools that they need, not only to survive, but to thrive. You know, we got to remember that every person who picks up a pen or a paintbrush is sending a message. Now, they could be sending a message of the hurt that they're feeling, or they could be sending a message of the beauty that they're feeling inside. Just because everyone paints doesn't mean they're painting from anger. Everyone that writes is not writing a story, a traumatic story. They're writing a story of, you know, they don't know how to express themselves. So we need mentors like yourself and help. And we got to remember, sometimes that message is the very thing that keeps them going in life. It's the same traps we may fall into, whether the system, it's, excuse the expression, 6 feet under. So I think that, you know, if we can get our community together, we can get sponsorships to help you build that community center, because and here we need it, and two going to be needed. This because unfortunately, we're starting the cycle here today. And we just need to make sure that we find a place, because you're going to need a big building, because I can see a lot of youth coming to you right now. A lot of people. You're going to need like a warehouse. And like I said, me and Lamont, we're right there with you. If you need mentors, you need people. And I'm going to be honest with you, it doesn't always have to be somebody with a degree to teach somebody just the basics. It's just someone that has the time to do it.
And you know what? A lot of times, man, your degree is your experience. That's what your degree is.
Yes.
You know, because even people, that is an excellent thing. But that experience is right up there on the same level, just simply because I can teach you anything in the classroom, you know, but that physical application of it, like that experience of whatever knowledge that you have was different. But your mentor, the person, you know, that's great too. That's something that I would love to have in the mentors that come to this center. You know, because I think for the youth, one of the most important things to provide them is a safe space and resources. You know, resources to help them develop whatever it is they want to do, and a safe space for them to do it in, for them to not feel some type of way about. Because most times the things that people are most talented at, they kind of keep to themselves. They hide it.
Right.
Great artists, right? He doesn't have friends in this room or something, and nobody goes in there until one day somebody actually sees it. Like, dang, like, you're really good. Like, why don't you show it? But they're self-conscious about it.
Yeah.
They don't have the safe space to do it in. They won't feel looked down on and criticized and judged about, or made to feel bad about the fact that they do that. Or they may just be sensitive and don't think they're as good as they really are. So they hide it from other people. You know, and it's just a form of personal self-expression for them. But if I can provide a safe space for this person to do this, when he's surrounded by other people who are doing it, then it's going to encourage him to keep doing it. And then it's going to encourage him to be able to show it to other people. Going to be surrounded by people who are doing exactly the same thing that he's doing. So, and then us providing those resources is what I mean, right? And like how you were just saying, you and Lamont would be there for me, the same way that I would be there for you. Like, you may be able to provide this person, this person an opportunity to put his work in the gallery.
Yes.
You may be able to provide this person an opportunity to get in touch with somebody that can sell his art. You know, we may have a network that is built specifically for that one purpose of his. And the same thing goes for anything else, whether it's photographer or you want to do anything in sports. It doesn't even have to be the actual sports. You could be a commentator. You know, whatever it is that your passion is. You know, we may have somebody in that network that can help build you up and help propel you into whatever it is that you're doing. You know, as long as we see that you're passionate about it, you're serious about it, and you're not playing games, you're not wasting anybody's time, I'm always going to be there to help anybody who's reaching out. So for me, it's more that safe space so they can develop their talent and feel confident about their talent. And then we're going to provide them the resources. We're going to give them access to a network of people who can put them in the positions to basically make their dreams come true.
That's right.
I want to use the word vision.
Vision.
To bring their vision to life, to bring all of their thoughts to fruition. So then they will eventually become the example. Their experience will eventually be what other people can look at and say, man, I can do that. And I think that's what's wrong with a lot of our youth is that the ones who grow up in the hood, as you call it, or you know, in the inner city, or whatever you want to call it, the ghetto, whatever people call it, the kids that grow up there, but they in their mind, they're actually capable of, which in turn limits them. You know, so go home and you know, like 98% of the people in here will look at you like I'm crazy. Because in their mind, they're like, yo, I can't make $50 million. I'm a crazy, he can't make $50 million. What's wrong with him? You know, so they've already limited themselves. So when they limit them as well, like, yo, you can't do that. That is ridiculous.
Right.
So our first step is to show them, man, like, you really can do anything and everything you put your mind to. Like, Tyler Perry, a billionaire. He used to sleep in a car.
Yes, and so was Steve Harvey. So was Steve Harvey. Yes.
Homeless, sleeping in a car. She's a millionaire. So it's like, if you really decide that this is what you want to do, and you gain that focus, you gain that discipline, you take responsibility for your actions by holding yourself responsible. Not by nobody else holding you responsible. You have to hold yourself responsible. You know, and once you take those steps and do those things, you literally can do whatever you decide that you want to do. Because there'll be nothing standing in your way except yourself.
Yeah, isn't that what we just said tonight? Nothing stands in your way. Yeah, you're your worst enemy if you don't let others, or if you don't embrace your creativity and your talent, and you know, you only silence in yourself. So it has to stop. Yeah. I think once we get this word out, Rodney, I think that, you know, you will see a change. People will hear, people will see, okay, this is what I want to help out. This is what I want to invest in. This is where my future is. This is, you know, because it's those same sponsors that we are going to obtain that are going to be the ones that their children are going to be right there with us. Because you know what? They have hidden talents too. And I'm going to be honest with you, artistic kids are highly intelligent, highly creative. And they find pleasure in so many little things. So, yeah. And they just are never given an opportunity to, you know, to speak. You know, their voice is silent. So now you're giving everyone an opportunity to speak. So I like that. So thank you.
Thank you. Like you gotta understand your power too. Like you provide the platform for people like me. It does so much more than what people probably understand. You know, because it reinforces everything that all the work that I've been doing on myself. It reinforces it because now I'm able to share it with other people.
Yes.
It's encouragement to me to be able to I have a purpose that's bigger than me. You know, now I'm working for everybody else around me. I'm working for my family. I'm working for the people who I don't know, because who knows who's going to hear this interview? Who knows who's going to decide to take action because of this interview? Who knows what kid they hear this interview will be like, man, if you're doing what you're doing from there. You know, I have to be myself. Be 100% of myself 100% of the time. You know, who knows what will move another person? You know, so that's for me. This platform is just inspiring for me. So you are helping to give a voice as well. You know, so thank you for doing that.
You're welcome. Before we close, Rodney, I want to close one with you highlighting your books again, your website, and how to contact you, and then I just want you to give one. It can be a positive affirmation. It could just be a positive thought. It could be just whatever you feel in your heart to our audience.
Okay, first, you know, the names of my books are Valley of the Shadow, and the other book is Connections and Entanglements. Both books are available on Amazon, Haz'el, Lulu, Goodreads, and most of the bigger platforms that you can get your books from. I also have a website called Write for Your Life. That's WRITEFORURLIFE.com. You know, and that'll give you a little bit of background about me. And that site is specifically dedicated to my books. It also has the links at the bottom to my social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, etc. And also, man, if I was to say one thing, you are the creator of your own life.
Mm-hmm.
When you decide to intentionally create things, you'll be surprised at what happens. And everything, all it takes is a thought. You know, everything that you see around you came from a thought. Every building that you see was a thought before it was something real. Every car that you see, anything that you see around you was first a thought. So that should show you how powerful your thoughts really are. When you create that thought and you stick to that thought and you commit yourself to bringing that thought into the physical reality, you can bring it into the physical reality. And everything around you, everything is testament to that. So if I was to say one thing to anybody and everybody that's listening, you are the creator of your own life. Learn yourself, be yourself, embrace yourself, and share yourself.
Yes. Thank you. That was a powerful message. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, we are going to come back and follow up on you in a couple months, or we want to see how things are progressing. As I mentioned, your book information, how to contact you, your website will be on our website as well. And we would like for our listeners that if you have any comments, if you have any questions, that you reach out to Rodney through his website or our website, and then he will be able to share with you. But also just keep in mind that this is his vision. This is what he's been envisioning for a while. And when as they say,